So I strongly believe that truthfulness, honesty, authenticity are the most important traits in almost all of both within the academic game. If you don't know who I am, I'm a professor of business, and as well in the business and just general environment. If you are having relationships, having those skills, or having, depending on how you look at it, whether it's a skill or a trait or something that you actually possess, having the ability to be open and admit your flaws, your problems, your experiences, without being defensive or angry is one of the most important skill sets that we all need to develop. And one of the critically most important things to develop trust in all of our lives and to eventually do extraordinarily well if you don't tell everything. And I mean, there's some things that you want to keep private. We all have a little bit of stuff that we keep private, but most things that genuinely wouldn't be harmful in the long run, but you decide to hide it or manipulate it or control the information, it only harms you in the long run. It only makes it so it's difficult to have relationships. It removes trust out of almost all relationships. I remember moments in the past where, in a business transaction, I found out after that there is something that somebody hasn't told me. And, I'm trying to be cagey here because I don't want to out anybody. But when that happens, it almost always makes me question and think, and makes me ponder and say, if that one thing, why not so many other different things? And so then I have to keep my guard up. I have to, transform the way that I have a relationship with somebody. And it's extraordinarily difficult to have long-term relationships whenever that actually happens in all areas of your life. And so coming into relationships and doing things based on authenticity, even though when it's difficult to say things and be open about things, is one of the most important things that we're all going to have to develop if we're going to do well in our careers and in our lives. Because these moments where there are, little white lies or, shifts of the truth, what I'd like to say strategic behavior that is often taught in business schools, they erode credibility, integrity, and make it very difficult to have relationships that develop any sort of meaning. If you come into a relationship, whether it's a business transaction, whether it's in your own personal life, and the premise is based on something that you have to constantly doubt or look into or question, it's extraordinarily difficult to have a relationship. And it's even more difficult to excel in any of those relationships. So the one thing that you can take away from this, and I know that people that have these issues will not watch any of this because it's hard to take, it's hard to internalize. But I just beg of you to have this sort of authenticity, have being open, have being just painfully raw often. And it's painful. There's a lot of negative emotions. That's why people do these things. They want to hide all of those negative emotions. They think it's somehow something to be guilty about. But all of those things, if you can get past them, you will have a lifelong, you'll have life for a long time that is prosperous in many different ways. Because it is the fact that the two things that are going on. The first one is this trust issue. But the second thing that's even more important is, why do you feel that way? Why can't you openly talk about things? Why is it so difficult to be open about all parts of your life? And I'm going to tell you, I don't like hiding any parts of my life, because that's something that I'm holding, and it's scary, and it's poison. So the more that I can be open, the more that you can see who I am, the better off I am, not you. And that's the biggest takeaway with all of this. Not only does it erode trust and make it difficult to have any sort of meaningful relationships, but it begs to question is, why are you harboring these moments in your life that have power over you and make you feel terrible inside? That's the bigger question. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.